Salam, peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Layaq Sadiqi, the father of Holophase. We began with one insight: pattern is primary. Phi is circular comparability, the root permission for distinction. Only relations are public. Identity is invariance under lawful transformation. Persistence is certified survival through change. Interaction is joint constraint. Time is ordered transformation. No ex nihilo. Every appearance has provenance. The observer is a pattern within pattern reality. Measurement produces traces. Memory stabilizes them. Models compress structure. Prediction narrows lawful futures. Learning updates structure while preserving identity. Intervention alters coupling. Computation transforms patterns under rules. Information is constrained on possibility. Publicness makes knowledge shareable. Scale determines what becomes visible. Coarse graining moves between scales with declared loss. Emergence reveals new patterns at new scales. Self modeling turns patterns toward themselves. Meaning is functional usefulness for other patterns. Symbols are stable proxies that carry meaning. Interpretation maps symbols to what they stand for. Charity guides choice among interpretations. Now we ask, what is the most complex pattern ecology we inhabit? Part 49. Language as an ecology of interacting phi patterns. How language is not words first, but a living system of signals, symbols, rules, and practices that enables shared worlds. 1. The threshold we have reached. We have traveled far together. We have built a complete picture of what phi patterns are, how they relate, how they transform, and how they become meaningful. We have watched symbols emerge as stable proxies, interpretation as mapping between pattern families, and charity as the discipline for choosing among multiple readings. Now we face the most complex pattern ecology humans inhabit: language. When we speak, write, or sign, we are not simply using words. We are participating in a living system of interacting patterns, signals, symbols, ordering rules, interpretive conventions, memory traces, and social practices. Language is not words first. It is a coordinated ecology of patterns that enables shared reconstruction across minds and generations. A word alone does not carry meaning. Meaning emerges from the whole ecology, from how the word is used, how it relates to other words, how it fits into sentences, how it is interpreted in context, how it is learned and passed on. Language is the infrastructure of collective pattern intelligence. It allows us to share experiences, coordinate action, build knowledge, and pass understanding across time. Part 49 installs this understanding. A simple, everyday example: the word bank. Consider the word bank. In isolation, it is just a pattern: 4 letters, 1 syllable. But in the ecology of language, it participates in multiple overlapping systems. In one context, it connects to financial institutions, money, accounts. In another, it connects to rivers, shores, edges. In another, it connects to aviation, turns, angles. The word does not contain these meanings. It is a node in a vast network of patterns: sounds, written marks, grammatical roles, semantic fields, social contexts. When we hear, "I deposited money at the bank," we do not retrieve meaning from the word alone. We draw on the sound pattern of the word, our knowledge of financial vocabulary, the grammatical structure of the sentence, the context of the conversation, our memory of previous uses, our understanding of social practices around money. The word is a trigger. Meaning arises from the whole ecology. Another example: learning a first word. A child learns their first word. mama. What is happening? The child hears a sound pattern repeated in certain contexts. When mother appears, when comfort is given, when attention is called. The sound becomes associated with a constellation of experiences: warmth, safety, feeding, presence. Over time, the child learns to produce the sound themselves. They learn when it is appropriate, calling for mother, identifying mother, getting attention. They learn that others use the same sound to refer to the same person. They learn that the sound can be combined with other sounds. Mama come, mama up, where mama? The word mama is not a container of meaning handed to the child. It is an entry point into a whole ecology of patterns: acoustic, social, emotional, grammatical, pragmatic. The child is not learning a word, they are learning to participate in a pattern world. What language is? Let us define language clearly. Language is a coordinated ecology of phi patterns that enables shared pattern reconstruction across systems. This means coordinated ecology. Language is not a collection of isolated elements. It is a system where patterns interact, constrain, and enable each other. Everything in language is pattern: sounds, marks, gestures, words, sentences, meanings, uses. Language allows one pattern system, a speaker, to produce patterns that enable another pattern system, a listener, to reconstruct similar constrained structures. Language works between individuals, across contexts, over time. Language is not a dictionary of word meaning pairs. It is a living system of interdependent patterns. The multi-layered architecture of language. To understand language as ecology, we must see its multiple interacting layers. Signal patterns, the physical carriers of language: sounds in air, marks on paper, gestures in space, pixels on screens. These are the raw patterns that reach our senses. Symbol patterns, the conventional units that stand for something: words, morphemes, signs. These are stable proxies within the language system. Ordering patterns, the rules for combining symbols: syntax, grammar, word order, inflection. These are patterns of patterns, structures that constrain how symbols can relate. Interpretive conventions, the shared practices for reading meaning: how to understand metaphor, how to resolve ambiguity, how to recognize irony, how to interpret in context. Memory and usage patterns, the stored traces of past language use that shape future use. What words typically occur together, what constructions are common, what contexts call for what expressions. Social patterns, who uses what language when? Dialects, registers, politeness norms, power relations, community conventions. These layers do not operate separately. They interact constantly. A word's meaning depends on its signal form, its grammatical role, its interpretive conventions, its typical usage, and its social context. Language is ecology all the way down. An example: the sentence, "Can you pass the salt?" Consider a simple request: "Can you pass the salt?" At the signal level, it is a sequence of sounds, phonemes strung together. At the symbol level, it is composed of words: can, you, pass, the, salt. At the ordering level, it follows English grammar: auxiliary verb, subject, main verb, object. This ordering distinguishes it from a statement, "You can pass the salt," or a different question, "Do you pass the salt?" At the interpretive level, we know this is not literally a question about ability. It is a polite request. We know this from conventions of politeness in English. At the memory and usage level, we know that "pass the salt" is a common phrase at meals. We know that "can you" is a typical way to make requests. At the social level, we know that it is appropriate to ask this way at the dinner table, but might be inappropriate in a formal ceremony. All these layers work together to enable the listener to reconstruct the speaker's intended meaning. Please hand me the salt. If any layer fails, if the signal is unclear, if a word is unknown, if the grammar is wrong, if the interpretive convention is missed, if the social context is misjudged, communication may break down. 7. Language enables shared reconstruction. This is the fundamental function of language. Language allows us to reconstruct patterns not present, to share experiences, coordinate action, build knowledge across individuals and generations. When a friend tells you about their trip, you do not experience the trip directly. You reconstruct it, building internal patterns based on the language they produce. When a teacher explains a concept, you do not have direct access to their understanding. You reconstruct it, building your own patterns guided by theirs. When you read a book written centuries ago, you do not meet the author. You reconstruct their meaning using the patterns they left behind. Language is a bridge across absence. It enables pattern reconstruction across distance, time, and mind. An example: the recipe. A recipe is a perfect example of language enabling reconstruction. The writer produces patterns, words, numbers, instructions. The reader reconstructs those patterns in action, measuring, mixing, heating. The recipe does not contain the cake. It contains patterns that, when reconstructed appropriately, produce a cake. The success of the recipe depends on the whole ecology. The symbols must be recognizable. The ordering must be clear. The interpretive conventions must be shared. What does fold in mean? The reader must have relevant memory and skills. The social context must support the activity. When all layers work, reconstruction succeeds. When they fail, the cake fails. Meaning in language is ecological. Here is a crucial point. Meaning in language emerges through coordinated use, not isolated tokens. A word does not have a meaning all by itself. It has a role in an ecology. Its meaning is its pattern of use, how it relates to other words, what contexts it appears in, what actions it enables. This is why dictionaries can be misleading. They list definitions as if words were containers. But a definition is just a pointer into the ecology. It says, this word is used in these ways, in these contexts, with these relations. The meaning of democracy is not a fixed idea. It is a pattern of use across countless contexts: political debates, classroom discussions, legal documents, everyday conversations. Its meaning evolves as the ecology evolves. An example: the word cool. Consider the word cool. In one context, it refers to temperature. The water is cool. In another, it refers to style. That jacket is cool. In another, it expresses approval. Cool, let's do that. In another, it describes emotional detachment. He remained cool under pressure. These are not different words. They are the same word playing different roles in different parts of the ecology. The meaning is not in the word. It is in the pattern of use. No single definition captures cool. Its meaning is distributed across the entire language system. 11. Miscommunication as pattern reconstruction failure. When communication fails, it is not simply that someone made a mistake. Miscommunication is pattern reconstruction failure. The receiver does not recover the same constrained structure the sender intended. This can happen at any layer. Signal failure. The sound was unclear, the text was smudged, the gesture was ambiguous. Symbol failure. The receiver does not know a word or knows a different meaning. Order in failure. The grammar was ambiguous or misinterpreted. The receiver missed the irony, the politeness, the implication. The receiver lacks relevant context or common ground. The receiver misjudges the situation or the relationship. Miscommunication is diagnostic. It tells us which layer of the ecology failed. It guides repair. An example, the ambiguous email. You receive an email from a colleague. We need to talk about your recent work. Your reconstruction may differ wildly from what they intended. The email is clear, no failure there. You know the words, no failure there. The grammar is straightforward, no failure there. Here is where failure can occur. Are they concerned, impressed, critical, curious? The sentence underdetermines the interpretation. Your past interactions shape your reconstruction. If they have criticized you before, you may interpret it as criticism. If they have praised you before, you may interpret it as praise. Your relationship and workplace norms shape the reconstruction. The same sentence can lead to very different reconstructions. Miscommunication is not about the words, it is about the whole ecology. Language is embodied and dynamic. Another crucial point. Language is not purely abstract. It lives in bodies, media, institutions, and practices. In brains, neural patterns that store words, rules, and associations. In vocal tracts, patterns of movement that produce speech. In writing systems, patterns of marks on surfaces. In digital media, patterns of bits and pixels. In social practices, patterns of interaction, turn-taking, politeness. In institutional memory, patterns stored in libraries, archives, databases. Language is dynamic. It changes over time. Words drift in meaning. Grammars evolve. New conventions emerge. Old ones fade. This is not decay. It is the ecology adapting to changing conditions. An example, the evolution of literally. The word literally has undergone a shift in meaning. Originally, it meant in a literal sense, exactly, without metaphor. Now, it is often used for emphasis, even when the statement is not literal. I literally died laughing. Some people object to this change. They say it's wrong. But from an ecological perspective, it is simply evolution. The word's role in the ecology has shifted. Language changes because it is alive. The language principle. Now we can state the principle that organizes Part 49. Language is a collective fee pattern system for building shared pattern worlds. It is the most complex pattern ecology we know. This means language is not words first, it is a multi-layer ecology. Language enables shared reconstruction across minds and generations. Meaning is ecological, not located in isolated symbols. Miscommunication is reconstruction failure, not just error. Language is embodied and dynamic, living in brains, media, and practices. The rigor layer, the language gate. Language gets its own gate, the language gate. The language gate asks, are the language layers addressed? Signals, symbols, ordering, interpretation, memory, social? Are the coordination mechanisms specified? How do patterns interact? Is the reconstruction function clear? What is being reconstructed and for whom? Are reconstruction criteria defined? What counts as successful reconstruction? Is the embodiment of language acknowledged? Where does it live? Is the dynamic nature of language considered? How might it change? If the answer is no, if layers are ignored, if reconstruction is unspecified, if embodiment is denied, the language claim cannot be certified. The language gate requires layer specification. Signals, symbols, ordering, interpretation, memory, social. Coordination description. How layers interact. Reconstruction criteria. What counts as successful communication? Embodiment acknowledgement. Where language lives. Dynamics consideration. How language may change. Additional gates. Several related gates reinforce this discipline. The language ecology gate ensures that language is treated as a multi-layer system. The symbol interpretation gate verifies that symbols and interpretation are considered together. The reconstruction fidelity gate checks that reconstruction success is defined. The convention text gate ensures that conventions and context are addressed. The embodiment gate confirms that language's physical substrates are acknowledged. The drift gate requires that language change be considered. Firewalls. What language discipline blocks? Language discipline installs several critical firewalls. Firewall 1. No treating language as words only. Language is a multi-layer ecology, not a collection of tokens. Firewall 2. No ignoring the multi-layer nature of language. Signals, symbols, ordering, interpretation, memory, social, all must be considered. Firewall 3. No locating meaning in isolated symbols. Meaning is ecological, not contained in words. Firewall 4. No treating miscommunication as mere error. Miscommunication is diagnostic reconstruction failure. Firewall 5. No abstracting language away from embodiment. Language lives in brains, mouths, hands, media. Firewall 6. No treating language as static. Language evolves. Claims must account for drift. Firewall 7. No private idiolect treated as public convention. Shared language requires shared patterns. These firewalls keep language honest. 19. Refusal conditions. We refuse to certify a language claim if language layers are ignored, coordination mechanisms are unspecified, reconstruction criteria are absent, embodiment is denied, drift is ignored, meaning is treated as located in words alone, miscommunication is treated as mere error. Refusal here is not pedantry. It is protecting the integrity of our understanding of language. Why this matters? Beyond science, language in life. Language is not only for science, it is for how we live. We live in language, we think in language, we love, argue, plan, remember, and dream in language. Language shapes our relationships, our identities, our worlds. Understanding language as ecology helps us use it better. We recognize that words are not containers, they are triggers in a vast network. Misunderstandings are not just wrong, they are clues to where the ecology failed. We recognize that language changes. The language of our parents is not the language of our children. This is not decay, it is life. We recognize that language lives in us, not above us. It is embodied in our brains, our mouths, our hands. It is not a ghostly system floating free. We recognize that meaning is made together. A word means what we do with it, what we build with it, what we share through it. Language is our most intimate ecology. Understanding it is understanding ourselves. A final image, the coral reef. A coral reef is an ecosystem. Corals, fish, algae, water, light, all interact in complex ways. No single organism is the reef. The reef is the whole ecology. Language is like a coral reef. Words are like corals, structures built by use, housing meaning. Grammar is like the water, shaping how everything flows. Interpretation is like light, illuminating some connections, leaving others in shadow. Memory is like the reef's history, layers of past growth shaping present form. Social practices are like the currents, carrying patterns across the system. The reef is alive. It changes. It adapts. It is greater than any single part. Language is our reef. We swim in it every day. Closing insight. We began with comparability. From phi emerged distinction. From distinction emerged pattern. From pattern emerged identity, persistence, interaction, measurement, memory, modeling, prediction, learning, intervention, computation, information, publicness, scale, coarse graining, emergence, self-modeling, meaning, symbols, interpretation, charity. And now, language. Language is the most complex pattern ecology we know. It is a multi-layer system of signals, symbols, orderings, conventions, memories, and social practices. It enables shared reconstruction across minds and generations. It is embodied, dynamic, alive. Language is how we build shared worlds. We now move forward. With language understood, we can ask, how is knowledge itself built and maintained across generations? That is knowledge systems. That is part 50. Always, peace be upon you.